What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, October 25th, 2019. Can I do this? I think this might be like the first time on this channel for almost 2 years that I have a 5-minute chart open. Can I just do that? I mean, we don't get to live in this type of environment often, right? We don't get to experience this together. So can I just have a 5-minute chart open as I get this live stream kicked off? Here's the thing. I know everybody's just enjoying it. I know you're enjoying yourself out there right now. Come on now. Bitcoin is moving. I love it. I can't stop. I just cannot stop updating my portfolio. You know how the story goes. You can't stop updating the charts. You're texting your pals. You're texting your crypto pals. You're enjoying the ride because just a few short days ago, things were looking bleak. And listen, we're not out of the woods yet. D-Money, thank you for the super chat. That's going to the Launchpad Foundation. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate it. Nothing, we're not out of the woods yet, but this is enjoyable. And, that goes without saying. And I figured I had to go live. We don't get to experience this often. And I just want to look at the charts. I want to look at what's going on. Some people saying this news has something to do with it. President of China says China should seize opportunity to adopt Bitcoin. To the moon. Thank you for the super chat. To the moon. Hey, Dan, let's go to the moon. Love it. You're a fan in Seoul, Korea. Wow. All the way in Korea. What time is it in Korea right now? I appreciate the super chat. Also going to the I keep saying Litecoin Foundation. It's the Launchpad Foundation, everybody. Come on. Thank you to the moon for that super chat. Many saying it's this news. Everybody always has a guess. We can look at CoinMarketCap. It's always nice to see Bitcoin just killing it. Look at this, 26%, 24-hour change, 68% BTC dominance. Come on now. I just love that. I really do. So, Bitcoin. What's crazy is I did a live stream not long ago at all, right? And I'm gonna leave. Actually, wait, one more quick glance at the 5-minute chart. Let's see what's gonna happen. Let's just watch what's gonna happen. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody, this might be a first on this channel. We're experiencing a volatile 5-minute candle right now. I mean, this is what crypto is all about. A 5-minute chart reminds me of when I got into crypto. I was just always looking at the 5-minute charts, and it was a roller coaster ride of emotion. It really was. So that's I'm going to keep, if Bitcoin just kind of keeps going crazy and moving a little bit, I'm going to keep checking in on this 5-minute chart because it's really fun to watch. It's entertaining. So I did a video earlier, right? And I guess to explain that video, I can go to the 4-hour chart and the 4-hour chart looks crazy. Like, it just doesn't look normal, right? Especially this last month, it's been so boring. I stopped doing videos. I couldn't even keep doing videos. It was so boring. But we have a move, and here it is. And this is a strong move. Like, this is a strong move. Usually we get a 10% move, and I'm kind of, I'll do a video and I'll say, usually with a 10% move, we see clear resistance. And so you can have a lower high in a 10% move, right? It could be signs of a continued downtrend, even a 10% move up, right? This is a different kind of move. We have to see how it plays out, really, especially in the next 12 hours. We need to see how this plays out in the next 12 hours. But for context, if you missed my live stream earlier, it's very simple. This orange broadening rising wedge was really the basis for the technical analysis earlier today. And what we were talking about was this. We talked about the broadening wedge being broken, being busted, right? And it's a very bullish environment when something like that happens, a busted pattern. And I zoomed out on the charts, and I'll do it real quick right now if my charts load. And I likened it to a time where we had a very similar rising wedge. And this was back before we started making our run out of the bear market, sorry. And it was back here. I'll just chart it really quick without getting too into it. but it was right here, this rising wedge, Bitcoin. We broke to the downside of this rising wedge, and we tested the lower trend line. We talked about, I'm pretty sure we did a video on this, talking about this turning into a busted pattern, right? And a busted pattern is such a powerful move, you know, when you're trading anything, when you're looking at any charts. And so we got that busted pattern. We tested the lower trend line, Bitcoin did, tested the upper trend line, came back down a little bit, and then actually broke with a bullish move out of this rising wedge, which many were calling bearish at the time, right? This was a rising wedge, many people calling for a target to downside and then a continued downtrend. The opposite happened. We made a move to $14,000, as you may remember. And so earlier in today's video, basically I talked about this. I talked about a rising wedge busted pattern scenario. And at the time we were trading at around $8,600. So what had happened is we entered back into the actual pattern here that you see, this rising broadening wedge. We entered back into it. We obviously broke the lower trend line right around $7,900. And so we explored the potential opportunity that Bitcoin had ahead of itself in terms of breaking this wedge, right? And busting that pattern. And so now I had to do this live stream because it is tonight, it is Friday, and Bitcoin has succeeded in doing this, right? So, and just give me 1 second. I'm doing something on my phone. Making sure we're all good to go. So Bitcoin on this, and this is a 4-hour chart, by the way, right? And it plays into the last month that we had for context in terms of technical analysis. Now we've talked about the potential for this busted rising wedge, but mainly what I talked about in today's video earlier, what were two really key areas, which is the $8,900 area to like the $9,200 area. It was kind of just like right in here, right? Can Bitcoin test that area? And if Bitcoin does test it, will it stay above it? And so I had to go live right now because as of right now, it's happening, right? We're experiencing what we were anticipating earlier. And this is when it gets exciting to kind of hang out and actually see technical analysis at work, right? And see if things hold, right? See if Bitcoin has that muscle to enter a bullish environment, a bullish phase. We're making a short-term bullish move right now, absolutely. But you have to remember that this is what Bitcoin does often. Granted, this is a very strong move. Bitcoin does this often. What we have to do is zoom out on the charts, and we can see, if we zoom out here on the daily chart, there's a big mess going on right in here. And now that we're zoomed out, you get a sense of, you can picture Bitcoin just trucking along in there. It's like roaring like a lion. However, there's much ahead of it. And so the question is, with what lies ahead of it, what lies up here, will Bitcoin have the muscle to get through? And that is the question that we have to ask ourselves. And it becomes easier to ask ourselves that when we're zoomed out on the charts and we have a full picture of what's going on right now. So we started on the 4-hour. Well, actually, we started on the 5-minute. There's the 5-minute. We went to the 4-hour. And what I want to look at real quick, because it's important, is this. This is zoomed out on the weekly. And in case you haven't seen, and I'll take 30 seconds just to chart this. This is literally the key to it all. The Fibonacci cycle resistance. So just to illustrate what that looks like in the last, entering the last bull market that everybody remembers going into 2017, we take our bull market high of 2013 to that bear market low 2015. Bitcoin had to break a very key area in order to enter the bull market, right? We couldn't sit there out of that last bear market and call this the bull market. And that is because you haven't had a sustainable higher high, higher low in Bitcoin above key resistance. I mean, we had a nice run for Bitcoin, but it was below resistance. And this green channel is the resistance. This is the 618 to 786 channel. That is the doorway to the bull market for Bitcoin long-term zoomed out on the charts. So Bitcoin saw immediate resistance there, came back down for a month or two, and then began its way up into this area. And you can see it struggled here for a second, but broke through into the bull market. Parabolic gains followed. Now, I've been talking about how we just hit this same resistance, right? And we've pretty much just been here, trading sideways, wondering, is Bitcoin going to do the same thing? And so now that we have that context, we can chart the same exact Fibonacci retracement, the doors to the bull market right here. And there's the green channel. There's that doorway to the bull market. And it's a huge resistance area. And so that's a very big, solid, strong door. So if you want to zoom out on the charts, this weekly candle for Bitcoin looking crazy that we're in right now. But this is just how my mind works. I just picture it as, a bull charging like a door. And you wonder, is this bull strong enough to knock the door down? And the question is, I don't know. We will find out. One thing is for sure, when Bitcoin made its move into the bull market and broke that resistance last time back in 2016, it was shortly after the halving, right? Bitcoin has tested this resistance well before this next halving. Bitcoin is moving way quicker than it did last time. Poseidon Lou, $24.99 super chat. Jim Flanagan, $20 super chat. Always love a live bull video. Me too, Jim. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate you. Straight to the Launchpad Foundation, and you know it. It really is way more fun doing a bullish run live video. So, Bitcoin moving way quicker than it did that last time around. It slowly was on its rise into this channel last time. And so the question is that going to happen quicker too? Instead of a slow rise to that huge resistance area straight ahead. I mean, we're not that far. It's 13,000 up to 16,000. Last time there was a slow rise, but right now, is it going to happen quicker? I don't know. Now, let's zoom a little bit back into the charts. This is a 4-hour. Let me go to the daily. And then we can look at something else that is important. So we were just on the 4-hour and we were discussing this. We were discussing this orange rising, broadening wedge being busted, being broken, which you can see it clearly is. That's extremely bullish for Bitcoin. On the daily chart, the other very important thing that we have to take note of is this. The all-important 50 moving average getting ready to cross that 200 moving average. I mean, look how close they are. I don't even know what's going on. Let me try and zoom in. You can actually see I can't zoom in anymore. The 50 moving average actually crossed below the 200 moving average. And most people were anticipating that to be an incredibly bearish thing. Now, at least within the last 2 days, you can see these two insane looking daily candles. And for context, let me just measure it, because the price range going from 74 to where we are now, 10,000. Well, 10,000 keeps moving. 35% gains in the last two daily candles. Almost 40% gains. And that's happening as you have a 50-day moving average cross below the 200 moving average. And we talked about, since we're not entering a bear market, the fact that these two are intersecting like this is a sign of consolidation. It illustrates consolidation. It illustrates a foundation for Bitcoin to make its next move. And it's nowhere near as scary as the 50 moving average cross that we saw below the 200 moving average cross back here in 2018 at the very beginning of that very long bear market. Way different scenario, way different environment. So, but even still, an incredibly important area to watch for, because the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average historically continue to tell the story of what kind of market we're in. So what I mean by that is you can simply zoom out on the charts, and what do you see? in a bull market, what do you see in a bull market? You see consistent support above the 50 moving average, right? You get some consolidation below it often, but a quick pop back above it. And it's like an ocean, right? And we can even change this to a histogram to really paint the picture to what to look for in the charts, especially when trying to identify a cycle change for Bitcoin, right? And so this is what we have. Look at the bear market. You barely see anything, right? And look at the bull market back here. Bitcoin just trading, heavily above this 50 moving average. Majority of the time trading above it, seeing support above it, bouncing above it, like a dolphin that keeps coming out of the water is really what Bitcoin looks like on this chart in a bull market. And that's what you want to see. And we got the beginning taste of that as Bitcoin exited the bear market, right? We definitely got a taste of that. And then we've most recently consolidated a little bit down. And now we're looking for the same exact move for Bitcoin, which is continued uptrend above the 50-day moving average. So let me get rid of this. And what I want to talk about is this. I would like to talk about, if I zoom back in on the daily charts, another pattern which I didn't expect to be talking about so soon. Obviously, we're talking about this orange rising wedge, broadening wedge, but now we're approaching zoomed out on the chart because we never hit our target. Remember, this symmetrical triangle up here, we had a target down here around 6,500. We never hit that target, right? We were approaching there, maybe $1,000 away or so from hitting that target. But what has happened? Like two things are in the works right now, and they could be extremely bullish, but we have to sit back and wait and see how this plays out. I need a 4-hour chart open to just show you. So number one, 4-hour chart, smaller pattern, busted rising wedge, right? Happening now before our eyes. Secondly, playing into that with its target playing into this busted symmetrical triangle, right? Meaning we broke this trend line. We were on our way to hit this target down here. It didn't happen. We've most recently, as of literally today, pretty much made a reversal to test this lower trend line from the symmetrical triangle, and then we could have a busted symmetrical triangle. Bitcoin a little late to the party. Obviously, we broke below the lower trend line here of the symmetrical triangle, very close to the apex of the symmetrical triangle. But in this technical analysis, this trend line is still 100% in play. We did not hit our symmetrical triangle targets. We've bounced before even hitting it. We're right now, as we speak, testing this lower trend line. And essentially, if Bitcoin can still show support, I think most importantly, above the 50 moving average on this daily chart, and this is what I want to look for in the next day or so, what's going to happen? Bitcoin can very easily fall back below the 50 moving average, and that is probably the most important thing to look for. In a week from now, right now, I know emotionally Bitcoin looks awesome. It's up 35% in the last 2 days. But in a week from now, the picture could be very different. And I just want to, I'm not saying it will be, but you have to please anticipate this, that Bitcoin could see rejection in all of these areas. Right now we have a daily candle going. I don't know how this will end, and I certainly don't know what the weekly candle at the end of the day is going to look like. However, where will our daily candles in the next few days, where will they end up? What will it look like in context to this very important 50 moving average on the daily chart? Will we be above it or below it? And that is the absolute most important thing that we have to look for from a technical analysis perspective. Will we be above or below the 50-day moving average? Because at the end of the day, that is what tells the story. It's the most simple indicator just to watch for. We talk about patterns. We have all of these patterns in play we can use for additional context and structure to what we're looking at on the charts, right? However, the 50 moving average on the daily chart is so important. It just so happens that it's perfectly confluent with a 200 moving average, so we can very simply watch that as well. I think the biggest point to make right now is right here around $8,900. That is the key area that Bitcoin must stay above. And when we get strong moves to the upside, how quickly Bitcoin gets strong moves back to the downside. It happens all the time, right? So while we would all enjoy daily green candle after daily green candle after daily green candle, there's a strong likelihood that we're going to get some type of correction eventually. And the question is, from where we're trading now back down to this 50 moving average, we're 9% above it, right? We want to get as much separation from that area as possible. Right now, we're only 10% above it or so. And so that can happen very quickly where we're testing that area once again, 8,900. I mean, I could be, later on getting ready for bed or something, and I open up the charts and we're down here $8,900. It would not surprise me at all. What happens in that area? That's probably the biggest question that I'm asking myself in terms of what happens next. Are we seeing support there, or is Bitcoin failing to stay above? If Bitcoin fails to stay above, guess what? Rejection is still in the cards for Bitcoin. Now, at the end of the day, one thing is true. And I'm reminded of this as I'm texting, I'm texting Poseidon Lou, I'm texting one of my buddies, and we're talking about what's going on in the charts. One thing is true. You have to be ready for everything. You have to be ready for either direction to happen. It's so easy to get on the hype train to enjoy these awesome moves for Bitcoin, right? I mean, just look at this 5-minute candle. How can you not enjoy that? But if you get wrapped up in that enjoyment, you're not going to be ready for what could possibly happen next, which is a huge correction, short-term correction back down. And you just want to be prepared for that. You don't want to get too wrapped up in the emotionality of what's going on here. That's really, honestly, that's how people FOMO. There's probably a lot of people. I don't know where this swing high top will be, but I'm almost positive that many people will be buying this swing high top, and then they're going to be regretting it in its next swing low. And if you go to a 4-hour candle, we can just look at here. Maybe it would look something like this. Somebody's accumulating. Oh man, Bitcoin's not stopping. We just broke 10K. We're going to be at 12K tomorrow morning. I need to get some Bitcoin. And then tomorrow morning they wake up, and then we actually fell below, 8,900. We're at 8,600. And maybe in the grand scheme of things, that could be good, right? That could be our first higher low and a new trend, right, to the upside. But on the short term, people are going to be freaking out because they bought into that FOMO and they're getting a little emotional out there. So I say that because you just want to be careful. And that's pretty much it. I want to know, now that we're finally doing a live Bitcoin video in a bullish environment. Press 1 if you're bullish right now. Just press 1 if you think, man, we just tested 10,000. This is continuing, and it is just going to continue. We'll be above 10,000, never hitting 10,000 again after that. Press 1 if you're that bullish. Press 2 if you're just like, this is a short-term hype. We're going back down. By the way, I started this video at around $10,000. It never surprises me when we do get a bullish run. I start a live video and Bitcoin that was the top. That was it. And it will not be seen again while I'm live on video. So looking at the chats, we have definitely more 2s than 1s. Definitely more 2s than 1s. Most people anticipating that this is a short-term hype and we're going back down. We have some 1s though. We do have some 1s. I want to talk about something because I've been thinking about it a lot. I've had the conversation a lot. It is Bitcoin in terms of where it is on this, zoomed out. Is this the right chart? No. This zoomed out long-term trend. I'm going to go to the right chart here. This chart is a day behind. That's why you see $8,600. However, it's still accurate in the grand scheme of things. This long-term parabolic trend for Bitcoin. this is where we are, right? And we were just talking about this area for Bitcoin. Here's the same Fibonacci resistance we hit back in June 2016 that we're hitting now, right? This is cycle resistance. The question is Bitcoin really going to follow this trajectory that it had back in 2016? And are we getting ready? Are we this close to entering this green area, which is the bull market, the parabolic gains that everybody wants to see almost day after day? This lasted 56 weeks, over a year last time. Are we getting close to that environment? And is it getting close even before the halving? If that's the case, there is so much upside in terms of Bitcoin and what lies ahead in these long-term parabolic gains. One thing is for sure, there is a supply and demand story being told. And I think that is one of the most compelling things that Bitcoin price has going for it, the supply and demand story that is being told. Now, one thing that I want to say is I do think in terms of cryptocurrency as a whole, Bitcoin is getting ready to shine. It is getting ready to shine. And this is what happened in the last market. This is exactly what happened prior to the last, leading into the last halving, and then after the last halving. Bitcoin's in that very same phase. It's getting ready to enter a bull market, which we don't know when it's going to happen. We'll confirm it when we get higher highs and higher lows above $16,000, but it's getting ready to enter a bullish environment. And when it's in that bullish environment, it's just dominating, right? And we took a quick glance at CoinMarketCap. You can see Bitcoin dominance at 68% right now. And that will be a continued story, I believe, in terms of Bitcoin. And one thing, I cover Litecoin all the time on this channel. It's something I've been watching. It's something I've been noticing. This is the LTC-BTC pair. And it hasn't looked amazing, right? I've recently have shifted some Litecoin into Bitcoin. I want to be transparent about that just because I do believe the next couple of years, Bitcoin will be shining. Litecoin will be shining too, everybody. I'm not saying it's not going to, but Bitcoin, its time is coming to shine. I wanted to zoom out on the daily chart for context to some things. There's a very strong technical analysis indicator that would say now is not the time to trade any Litecoin into Bitcoin. And that is simply because Litecoin is very oversold on the LTC BTC pair. It just is. It looks like it could totally bounce. But the one thing that I can't stop looking at, and I'm telling you this because I cover Litecoin a lot on this channel, I can't stop looking at after the last Litecoin halving, which was here, right? And then leading into the Bitcoin halving, I can liken where we are now to this area, right? And Litecoin was pretty oversold on the LTC BTC pair, but there was still a ton of downtrend left. And that was because this was Bitcoin's time to shine. That was what was going on in this area. And I just have this thing in me that says, balance things properly in your portfolio and take that data and make your own decision. And I made my own decision on what I want to do with that data, because is there a chance that Litecoin on the LTC BTC pair bounces up? Absolutely. And I'm happy with the amount of Litecoin I have. But there's also a chance that we have continued downtrend because Bitcoin's cycle is arriving, and it's arriving soon, in my opinion. So it's something interesting to watch, and I'm really curious to see how the next year plays out for Litecoin versus Bitcoin. It's always interesting to watch, and I'm really curious to see if we get a similar move like we did right here. More downside for Litecoin, and then eventually Litecoin making some crazy gains on the LTC BTC pair once again. But you have to take these things. If you're accumulating both, you want to look at these things and kind of have context to what's going on. So we can also look at the weekly chart on Bitcoin. Here's the 5-minute chart again. Look at this short-term consolidation. This is primed. This is just primed. Look at this. You want to do some 5-minute chart technical analysis? I mean, I see a little falling wedge right here. I can see a breakout in the next like half hour coming. We'll be at 10,500. Boom. There's your 5-minute technical analysis. I'm just kidding, by the way. So I want to go to the weekly chart on Bitcoin and just want to show you how much upside there is in terms of the momentum for Bitcoin. And what we can do, again, take for context, we had this Fibonacci retracement resistance back here, and it was very clear resistance, similar to what we had most recently. And you can just see the consolidation on this momentum oscillator, the RSI, compared to the same exact consolidation on the RSI back here, right? And same thing with the stock RSI, clear consolidation, and we're primed and we're ready to make a bullish move. Will it happen? I don't know, but be prepared because everything is lined up for it to happen. At the same time, you do know, resistance could step in. It could get ugly. Bitcoin can fail to stay above the 50 moving average here on the daily chart, and we could have continued downside. We're not there. We're not there yet, but make your decisions properly. Sit back at the end of the day. Don't listen to YouTubers and making your own financial decisions. However, please take the content, take the data that I've shared with you, and do what you're comfortable with, right? Do what you're comfortable with. I want to admit something. I was really hoping as I did this live stream that Bitcoin would not slow down. I wanted to keep this 5-minute chart open and just have a crazy parabolic party with everybody in this live stream. Sarah's painting right now. I just got done work not that long ago, and I'm kind of I was ready to watch some 5-minute crazy charts on Bitcoin. But I start my video, and here we are. Bitcoin sees resistance. It's a story of my life on this YouTube channel. I appreciate you coming by. If you're here right now and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. I would love to enter this bull market with you as we grow this channel and as we see some parabolic gains in the future. Will it happen on the short term? I don't know. I think it'll happen eventually. How will this chart play out? Again, I don't know. But we have all the resistance. We have what we want to look for. Let's see if we can stay above that 50 moving average, and let's see what Bitcoin can do in terms of testing this lower trend line. Will we have a busted symmetrical triangle? Will we have a busted symmetrical triangle? This lower trend line, we're seeing almost immediate resistance. Breakout target to the 14,000 area. I don't know, but you can see immediate resistance literally right now as I do this video. Those are the two things I'm watching at right now. Now that we're up here, almost 10,000, I'm looking for this potential resistance here. And the question of, if we come back down, are we getting support above this 50 moving average right down there into 8,900? So 8,900 to 10,000, what's going to happen? We'll find out, I'm sure, when we wake up tomorrow morning. I hope you have an amazing night. I hope we wake up to parabolic gains. And I appreciate all of you coming by. Fireworks are over, folks. Wolf Dog, what's up? Thank you for coming, dude. Appreciate all you guys coming, hanging out. I really do. What's crazy is I almost feel like I'm on a 5-minute chart when I'm looking at this 4-hour chart, and it's insane. It's absolutely, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm looking at a 5-minute chart and I'm looking at a daily chart. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, we can go back and we can see, like, this might be the most interesting thing about this move. We can go back, like, let's just say July, for instance, and you can find instances like this a lot, but go back to July, and we have a week worth of gains. Bitcoin just seeing day after day gains, and up to almost 30%, right? It's a slow growth. We see that often when Bitcoin's, forming these patterns. What we don't really see as often are these crazy daily candles where literally in these 2 candles alone, we've hit pretty much almost 40%. And we don't see that often. That is one thing we don't see all the time. As much as Bitcoin does go parabolic, we don't see that all the time. That's especially when we're not even in the bull market yet, which we are not in the bull market. So those are my thoughts. I hope you have a good night. Time for me to maybe go help Sarah paint. That would be nice. That would be a good husband, I think. I hope you have a great night. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If things are moving and shaking, I'll probably do another video tomorrow for you. Have a great weekend. I will see you in the next video, and God bless.